Which are the best PvP classes in Aion Classic? As the game depends a lot on PvP battles and encounters, I am pretty sure that many of you wonder what classes perform better than others when we speak about PvP. In this video, I will give you as much valuable information as I can to answer this question for yourself, as well as my own opinion and tier list about the ranking of the classes in both solo and group PvP. If you like the content, don't forget to show your support by liking the video and subscribing to the channel to be notified when new videos come out. First of all, I must say that most of the classes' performance highly depends on their gear in most cases, and I will also point that out while talking about each class. Other than that, keep in mind that in every patch, some classes get buffs and some get nerfs, but I will try to give you the general view for the majority of the patches. Without further delay, let's start with the tier list of the classes when we are talking for solo and group PvP. I will follow the order I followed in my previous video for the classes, which was what class to choose in Aion Classic. If you haven't checked it out, I suggest you do it later because I give some information there as well about the classes and their overall performance. Let's start with the warrior classes, Templars and Gladiators. Templars are a real powerhouse in 1v1 scenarios, but they are a very gear-dependent class, and without their correct setup and extremely good gear, they will struggle a lot to perform well. They have some problems versus sorcerers, spirit masters, and clerics, but they can totally defeat them too. Because their nature is to play as tanks, they need extra gear, so we must invest time to have all the available tools in our kit to be able to achieve the desired results. Even though they are tanks, they can cause good damage with tons of survivability, and for this reason, they can outscale other classes, especially the DPS type ones. In my opinion, Templars are on the S tier of the solo PvP tier list. In group PvP, Templars take on a bit of a support role to protect their teammates, especially sorcerers and spirit masters, who are the first targets most of the time in group PvP scenarios for melee classes like assassins and gladiators. They can provide helpful overall support to the group, but they are not the first priority when we talk about a PvP group. For these reasons, I will put them in the A tier for group PvP. Next we have Gladiators, which are another gear-dependent class, and we will need to invest a lot of time to farm their needed gear to excel. In 1 vs 1 and solo PvP, they can bring really good results, but they are not the strongest in these scenarios. Generally, Gladiators are a solid class, but I will put them in the A tier for solo PvP content. On the other hand, when we talk about Gladiators in group PvP, this is where they excel and become one of the strongest classes to have in your group because they have many AoE skills, and especially in sieges, you need them a lot to bring massive AoE damage and create problems for enemy clerics because they will have multiple targets to rescue if 2 or 3 gladiators spam AoE skills together. For this reason, they are considered one of the best classes for mass PvP content, if not the best. They are easily on the S tier when we talk about group PvP. Next in line are the scout classes, assassins and rangers. Assassins in 1 vs 1 are really good, even though they get buff while the patches come. Their kit is made for solo ganking and 1v1 scenarios. They have the most insane burst damage, and they can destroy their opponents before they can even react. They can make players who are sorcerers or spirit masters consider deleting their characters because they can bring them down in a few seconds. They have some problems versus Templars and Gladiators because they can survive their burst damage. They can get away with doing very good damage without having their best gear, but it will be the best if you have it. Overall, even though they were a bit weaker in the early days of classic assassins, they are still in the S tier for solo PvP content. In group PvP, they are needed because of their insane burst damage that can destroy opponents' sorcerers and spirit masters, who are the main targets to kill in group PvP. Another benefit that they have is that because they aren't likely to target them first, they can do insane damage to their opponents' groups more easily because they won't have the problem of being targeted. They have good survivability because they are melee classes, so they can endure some damage if needed. Keep in mind that for both solo and group PvP, assassins are a bit harder to master, so we need to commit a good amount of time to learning them, and we must also consider that we need good latency because of their fast-paced gameplay. With that being said, good assassins are S tier in group PvP scenarios as well. The Rangers are in an extremely good state at the start of the Aion Classic, but as the patches pass, they become a bit weaker. They can do really good damage without having to be in the best gear possible. As a ranged physical damage class, they excel against sorcerers and spirit masters. The drawback of rangers is that they are very squishy and can die really easily. Also, for rangers to excel in PvP, they must master movement and cast their skills while jumping, and that might be something that you don't like. For these reasons, I will put them in the A tier for solo PvP content. In group PvP, rangers can also do very good damage, but they can die really fast if they are targeted, so I can't say that they are among the best options. They are a really good ranged class that can totally fit in the group, but for me, they are on an A tier. Next in line are mages, sorcerers and spirit masters. Sorcerers are very good in 1 vs 1 and solo PvP because their kit have both amazing damage and CC skills that are very helpful in these scenarios. They are not that hard to master like other classes, and they are also not that gear dependent and can perform really well without top gear. As a ranged glass cannon, sorcerer might feel a bit squishy, but that's a drawback you should have when you are a glass cannon. Sorcerers are S tier in this category not only because they have very good skills to support them but also because they don't need that much time invested to bring results. In group PvP, sorcerers are great for the same reasons, and they are often targeted first with spirit masters because they can die easier than other classes and they bring so much damage and CC. Of course, classes like sorcerers must be in the correct party setup because their CC breaks if the target is hit, so their group must be coordinated to work well. There's not much else to say about sorcerers in group PvP, they are S tier in the list. Spirit Masters are one of the best PvP classes overall. In 1 vs 1 and solo PvP content, Spirit Masters can absolutely destroy their opponents. They have very strong overtime curses that cause a really good amount of damage and one of the best CCs in the game, Fear. Also, they have the ability to remove buffs from their opponents, and that's another big reason that Spirit Masters are feared for. They are not that gear dependent, but you will need to invest time to learn their kit well because they have a very high learning curve. For this reason, even though they are so powerful, they are not picked up that much. Spirit Masters couldn't belong anywhere else than the S tier if time was being invested in them. In group PvP, for the same reasons, it is among the best classes to have in your group. The thing is that you must be ready to be targeted a lot first because you are the #1 public enemy. Even though they have the skill to transfer the damage taken to their spirit, without the spirit, don't forget that they are a class that wears cloth armor, so they are squishy too. For all these reasons, Spirit Masters belong to the S tier in group PvP as well. Last, we have the priests, clerics, and enchanters. Clerics are really painful to kill in PvP because they are the main healers of the game. They can also bring damage and starve their opponents in 1 vs 1 and solo PvP scenarios, but to do that, they need to have a good setup. So be ready to invest some time to farm the right gear to be able to do good damage as well. They can defeat any class under the right circumstances, so they are in the S tier for solo PvP. For group PvP, there is not much to be said about clerics because being the main healer means you belong beyond the S tier list. The only class we have left is enchanters. In solo PvP, they can be among the best classes to play, but to do so, they need their best gear. Also, we need to invest a really good amount of time to learn their kit and use it correctly. They have their buffs to help them. As priests, they have healing powers as well, but not as good as clerics, of course. They can starve their opponents and win in solo PvP scenarios. If they are played well, enchanters can win against any other class, and for this reason, they belong to the S tier. As for group PvP, because their buffs help the group a lot, they belong to the S tier as well. The 2 first slots in a group are filled by clerics and enchanters, followed by everyone else. As we approach the end, here are the 2 tier lists for both solo PvP and group PvP in summary. If you watched the video until now, you would have seen that I put most of the classes in the A and S tiers and not lower. This is because Aion provides really good balance among the classes, and almost any class can bring down the other under the right circumstances. Of course, some of the classes need more effort to achieve it, and others have more tools to do it, but the overall balance is well designed. I must say that because the game has sieges, flying battles, and open world PvP, range classes have a small edge as they can engage and disengage easier. For me, you can totally enjoy PvP with any class you choose. I hope I got you prepared for the challenges that come with every class and helped you understand a bit better the strengths and weaknesses of the classes. Let me know in the comments which PvP classes are best for you and your thoughts on the topic. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and smash the subscribe button to help me out on my journey and get notified when a new video comes up. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great time. See you again in the next video.